So after watching what they did to me with Eli Berry, because I actually know who he is, right? I actually have the advantage of knowing who my troll is. Um, and I've described in many live streams like what has been happening with me. About how he started contacting me in February over email. He was going over using a screen name called Autumn Sword. And I was ignoring his emails initially. And then he sent me an email with a podcast he did with a guy named John Brisson, who actually has written books. He's a little weird. He's a little bit right-wing. But he was an actual person. So it gave him some credit. Like, it gave him some validity. And then, you know, he continued, like, I started giving him some information after, like, that. He sent me a podcast that he did with this dude. And he invited me to attend the podcast. And I sat in on the second episode and had a conversation on that podcast. So that also gave more validity to the situation. That now I have had conversations. Now I have done a podcast. I've done this with a published author who is working with this guy. It made more sense at that moment. And the dude kept telling me that he was investigating the Movement for the People's Party and the Convo Couch and the Jimmy Dore Network and all of these live streamers and stuff. And he said that if he had some space locally here in Southern California, that he could really, with his network, because he said he was working with a network of investigators, that he could do what he needed to do. And I very quickly, in his time here in my house, discovered that that was completely bullshit. He actually was working for the Convo Couch and the Karen Burnell Network. So, let me, the reason I tagged the 3 people that I tagged is because what you need to understand is that I have the advantage of actually knowing my troll. The way he is operating is he is creating new accounts every single day. And I have not, my YouTube channel is still online. It hasn't been banned. But some of you have lost like your Twitter accounts. You've gotten banned for, it's because they are literally paying people like Eli Berry. There's got to be more than just Eli out there, because I don't think he has the bandwidth to attack every single one of us like that. He's very focused on me, and maybe he has some other accounts, if you will, of people who he's targeting. But it seems pretty obvious that they are actually paying people to create multiple accounts every single day, and then they have access to all these accounts. And they are using those accounts to then multiple report you, so that your Twitter account will be banned, or your YouTube account will be banned, or your Facebook account will be banned. They're doing this. This is the tactic they're using. And I think that these platforms need to do more to check IP addresses and make sure that you don't have more than, say, a dozen. Because, I don't know, maybe you have a large family coming out of the same house, right? But if you've got that many fucking accounts coming out of the same IP addresses, then there's something, that's a troll farm. That's a troll farm. And even if it's only one person who is the troll, but they're creating that many fucking accounts to do it, and then they use all of those accounts to report you as spam or report you as doing something wrong or whatever. I'm fairly certain that that's their methodology at this point. That's what they're doing against the progressive organizers. They are hiring people like Eli Berry. These are all criminals, by the way. Like, everybody who has been coming after me has a criminal record. Eli Berry has a criminal record. Tim Johnson has a criminal record. Fiorella Isabel has a criminal record. I think even JoJo might have had a criminal record. And you know, when you look back at like what happened to me this year, where I had 2 activists who wanted to stay with me, and they both ended up being really fucking weird and treating me like shit and treating my house like shit. Even my friend, I'm even suspecting that my friend who took me to the desert, because he was paying for things with gift cards. I texted him the other day. I texted him yesterday and I said, who's paying you in gift cards? It's not that difficult to figure out who my friends are, because I am a very open book, right? And so if this network figured out that I have a friend who's had some addiction problems, I don't think it would be that difficult for them to offer him some money to fuck with me. And despite the fact that we've been friends for 30 years, if you have addiction problems, you're willing to do things for money. You know what I'm saying? Which is tragic and really sad. And I mean, that was heartbreaking for me. That was fucking heartbreaking for me. But at the same time, who fucking pays somebody in gift cards? This very bizarre situation. His financial situation was very bizarre. And on top of it, when I told him that I reported him as missing because he fucking disappeared in the desert, and I called 911 and reported him as missing, he then had like kind of a conniption fit that I reported him to the police, and so now they know that he was out of state. So clearly there's more going on with my friend than I knew. You know, there's more going on there than I knew, and apparently he was not supposed to be leaving the state. He was being dishonest with me. He told me he was living in a sober living home environment and that he was cleaning himself up and he was rebuilding his life. He was being dishonest with me, and somebody was paying him in gift cards. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily connected, but it does seem like this is 3 in a row, and they all tried to do this. He tried to move in with me too, and I said no. But yeah, this whole creating accounts every single day, that's what they're doing. They're literally trying to take us offline. They're trying to take us offline because apparently our messaging is powerful, y'all. Our messaging is powerful, and they don't want it out there. I can tell you my troll, the troll who's coming after me, he gets upset when I talk about Tim Johnson. He gets upset when I talk about Karen Brunell. He gets upset when I talk about the Progressive Delegates Network. He gets upset when I talk about the Convo Couch. He gets upset when I talk about Jimmy Dore. So that's clearly his client base. That's his fucking client base. This is how they operate. I don't know how we combat this, but this is how they operate. So just heads up on that.